Hello and welcome to the STCfit Learning Podcast. I'll be your host today. My name's Ben Scott. I'll be joined by Jason Galea. Thanks for joining us on our way to create 1 million positive outcomes for personal training clients by 2030. The podcast is brought to you by @STCfit Learning, a page created to upskill and educate PTs and gym nerds. Also brought to you by @STCfit, and that's a place for all your online and in-person personal training needs. If you enjoyed today's episodes, please give us a share and tag on the Instawebs. You can tag @STCfit, @STCfit Learning, @BenScottSC, and @JasonGalea PC. Hope you enjoy the show. So, such a big announcement on the Zoom now.
Yeah, so
recording in progress.
It still wigs me out hard.
Yeah, I'm not totally happy with it. It's awkward because we always forget to hit record when we're doing the banter at the start.
Yeah,
in the Zoom, in the like workshops and stuff, and then it's like recording in progress.
This person just rudely interrupts the conversation we had, disrupts the flow.
Yeah. So we're back on Zoom, Jace.
Yeah, we're back.
I haven't done a face-to-face one yet.
Look, I'm not mad about it. It's like I've got a pretty good setup going on here. Like I know Tam hates it because I always fuck up the audio every week.
I think you need to just do that with your mic just a little bit.
So I'll get it eventually. But yeah, like I don't mind it. I don't mind the old Zoom because I can just sit in my comfy office, the heater on, and I think like once we get the headsets, I'll probably be
I'm excited for the headsets. Then I'll have baby legs on Instagram because I'll be reclined on the couches. It looks like it's just shin. There's no actually like top part of your legs, just shin.
Yeah. It did look quite funny.
How's training? How's lockdown things?
Training's going okay. When we're at home, I'm kind of just doing, the minimum effective dose.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend hours and hours in the garage. So yeah, like still getting it done. But I could stretch 4 workouts over 5 days now and just shorten them a little bit. And just obviously I've got to play around with some stuff just because I don't have everything in the garage, but I've got enough. So yeah, still good. Still staying committed, because it's important. So yeah, what about yourself?
Well, we made the big call this week to put an end to nationals prep. So I'm still not totally sure how I feel about it. It's like I know it's the right call, but it's really uncomfortable with me. Like we spoke about yesterday. It's like I'm not very rarely like look at something and give up. And I sort of feel a little bit like I have, but I know that it's not. It's just to distribute energy in a more effective place. And the likelihood of us being able to go to Queensland, it's like so fucking low right now. They look like they're about to go into lockdown. We've still probably got 2 weeks till the gym's open. So I can't afford to quarantine at 2 weeks at either end of that trip. So it's like, we talked about doing a backup meet. It's like, I'm not putting my body through that for a post on Instagram. It's not it for me.
It's not worth it, man.
Yeah. So in better news, that means time to get shreds. Start the wedge shred a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So I've got almost a full 12 months to the day.
You're probably gonna need it.
Thanks, Jace.
You're a little acute, and I don't mean that in terms of like your progress. It's just like you gotta like go in and out a lot.
Yeah.
Like dip your toes in, get into the hole, and then take yourself out for a bit.
I was like, obviously we made a decision that I was eating last night, just not even conscious of the fact that I was eating. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Hey, it's gonna be a problem. As I haven't dieted since 2018, 2019. The last group photo shoot we did for the lift off was the last time you put me in a deficit.
Yeah, that's and just rejigging your food choices, like just reworking your food choices. Those two things are the main kind of factors to most people kind of dropping weight, dropping fat. Is like if you take out the mindless eating, or try and replace it with something that just sits more in alignment with just like low energy density kind of thing. And then you just rework your food habits. Like, all right, I'm not going to have a bag of lollies in between my meals or while I train or something.
Yeah. Out of habit, man. I had a meeting before for the YouTube people, I can prove it. And for the ear people, I can make the noise. Just grabbed a bag of red flogs out of the cupboard and just come and sit down. It's like, I just trained. I'm like, no, eat your lunch.
Yeah.
And have a drink. Like, yeah, it's just, but I have actually really enjoyed the food change, to be honest. It's like 4,000 calories is a bit of a push for me. Like, I don't really like it that much. So like being able to have, I just had mince with mashed potato instead of pasta, and eating soup and oats and shit, like so much less sugar and so much more vegetables. It's like, oh, I feel great. This is nice to be a human.
Assessing food off the satiety index there, Ben.
I am. It's been good.
I believe someone wrote a certain article about fat loss. That information's in there.
What's the link, Jason?
Called Your Fat Loss Cheat Sheet. Link in bio, select articles. Work your way there.
STCfitLearning.com, media articles. Sweet. So you and I are going to have a play around with some stuff too, just in terms of, be cool to make content. I'm excited to play around with some shit again. Like, I feel like the powerlifting thing, I kind of got it. Not that you can ever totally understand everything, but just want to have a play with other developments that we've made in our education from a physique training standpoint that I've never applied to myself. I've obviously used it with clients, but that knowledge is developed. It'd be nice to actually get in and feel it.
It's a great way to learn too.
I
don't think there's a better way to learn, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I was having this conversation with our coaches during the week. Actually, it was just like, you can't ever expect your client to do something you haven't at least done. Like, you don't necessarily, if someone wants to get peeled, you don't have to be peeled right now, but you have to have gone through that experience to understand it.
I agree 100%. So I can't fathom this push that you see like in the industry where you don't have to coach, like you don't have to have been there to coach it. It's like, I think you do. To coach people. So that's communicate on a regular basis, empathize, work over obstacles, be able to put together a plan that's, kind of moving. So you need to have been there.
We're just having a conversation about one of my clients, and she won't mind us talking about it. It's like, she's in a hole at the moment, and we're able to say like, yeah, it sucks. You'll be okay, because we've both been there. We know what it feels like. But you can't fucking say that if you haven't, because you don't understand what it's like.
I don't think there's respect there either. Like, I don't know. I just think there's a tremendous amount of power from leading the line at some point. And then, being able to draw back off of that, your knowledge and results you get with other people, and all of those things would formulate your decisions and your ability to get the outcome for someone.
So I think I definitely need to come back and claim my Belfie championship crown too. The last 2 years I haven't actually been able to rotate to take a Belfie. So talking about like being where your clients have been, I think I have to just build like a massive ass, because that's what most of my clients want, and then I can say I've done it. So we'll be good. I'll just post that picture all the time for marketing. So I guess spinning off that, like understanding clients, being able to communicate, etc. That's the topic for today, is like how to set up a structure to get the best possible results for your clients. So we're not going to talk about like the ins and outs of programming or nutrition or whatever. Like we will, just not today. But how to actually coach your clients to getting results. So it's obviously multifaceted to be able to do this, but how do you actually get your clients to do the things they need to do to get the outcomes? So I think you would agree, like most people, even if they've hired a coach, most people already know what to do. The challenge is doing it.
To a degree.
Like there's minutia that a coach knows that a client doesn't, but like they know they need to eat well, they know they need to train, they know they need to sleep, they know all this stuff, but they still don't a lot of the time. So how do we positively impact that? So the first place we start is looking at goals. So that'll tend to start from your consult. What are the biggest challenges you have right now? What are the outcomes you want? Let's start putting together a bit of a framework that allows us to see what you want.
Are we talking about training goals here, Ben, or how deep into goals are we willing to go here?
For us, with a client, I just stick to outcomes.
Yeah.
Like, what outcomes do you want?
Yeah.
And then obviously making sure that they're pass or fail as well. But we'll unpack that a little bit further. But yeah, I'm not when it comes to standout PT, and we're working with coaches.
Yeah.
We go way beyond. It's personal, it's business, and it's training, because all of those things need to work symbiotically together.
Yeah.
It's probably outside of a personal trainer's scope to ask someone what their personal goals are and put that on them. So I would, it's training outcomes.
Yeah, I agree. I just, you can see like a little bit of a shift that some people are trying to make that probably goes a bit too far. Like, we work on scope of practice, and it's like, another thing is just like, why are you asking that? Like, what is it as important as getting into the weeds on the training goals specifically? Yeah. So I agree with you in just focusing on like whatever it is that you can help them with the scope of practice in regards to their training physical outcomes or their performance outcomes.
Yeah.
I think going into the weeds beyond that kind of just sits in 99% of the personal trainers out there, like outside of their scope.
Yeah. My fiance is a mindset coach, so it's like the old handball for that one.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not my job. If we're at a point where that conversation needs to happen, as much as like you and I have got cert for mindset coaching, it's like, that's not where I play. It's not where I'm not the best person for that. So go work with the best person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with like having your camp and people within that. And it's like your training outcomes come from a trainer and a coach. And then, if that trainer and coach is very competent with nutrition, then you bring them on board for that as well. But if you don't, you might bring someone in for nutrition. If you need, help with your mindset, you might, kind of hire a mindset or a performance coach, a performance mindset coach for that, even, periodically as you need to. And then have whoever else it is, like, allied health, all of that kind of stuff, like just bring them into your circle, and you've got the best person for the job, and everyone kind of knows their place and works, cohesively together.
Yeah. I literally have everything you just described in my corner. Yeah. I think it's the best way to do it. If you want to maximize your outcomes, that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
And if you're a personal trainer, you want to have that network.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't want to take all that stuff on. Like, we spoke about like, there's climb coaches in, I call them clients, but they technically are coaches in the academy. Just excuse my dogs whilst they're singing in the backyard. There's coaches out there that have, 35 to 50 clients already, want, 100. And, taking all of that stuff on is just too much. So having a network of people who are the best person for the job, that can help you guys work with the goals that you're hired to do is going to be the best thing to do. Because the one thing Ben and I have experienced, just like the more experienced we get, is we're actually trying to narrow our scope of practice down as much as possible so that we're really good at it. So it's like, I want to be really, really, really good at physique coaching, bodybuilding, strength that's not specific to squat, bench, and deadlift. And you're trying to be, and then you're trying to be, the strength coach, the body composition coach, and good at that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's almost just inverse. It's like, I don't want to do the competition thing on that side, on the physique side. You do. You don't want to do the competition thing on the powerlifting side, and I do. It's that same, the overlap in the middle is very similar.
Yeah. It's like, we're not trying to take on anything else outside of that, because it just takes away from your ability to be the best at that.
Yeah. So coming back, I guess, to client goals. So your first exposure will be during that consultation process. After that, what we tend to do is we actually have a resource in their education portal that walks them through setting really high level goals. So what we do in the first step is to identify what your core values are. So what we're referencing is basically goals that aren't relying on motivation. That's what we're trying to achieve. So everyone wants to be motivated, and it never fucking works. So instead of just continuously trying to motivate, and if you want to be a motivate PT, that's cool. It's not for me. And I don't think most personal trainers want to do that. They want to facilitate outcomes for people. regardless of whether motivation's there or not. So for us, that's identifying the core values and then identifying of those core values, what can you express in your training? And then once you know that, it doesn't matter if you're motivated or not, you've got to express your core values to feel fulfilled within your life.
Yeah.
So it becomes much easier. For training goals, I tend to go like, depends on the person. We definitely want 3, 6, 12-month goals. Athletes, I like to go to 3 years. And myself, I look 3 years ahead as well. So I think there's value there. It just depends on who you're working with. If you're working with like mum who's just returned back to training and hasn't done any exercise since she was 14, like they're probably not going to have a 3-year plan yet.
Yeah.
Working with someone who's been training for 3 years, they've probably got a vision of where they want to be 3 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with the goal setting, like a lot of coaches don't do it with their clients at all, or they do it at the start because it's like part of the script that they have, but then they just forget about it and wonder why adherence slips, and, you know, people don't really know what they're working towards. Maybe they kind of cool off after the first 12 weeks. You know, all of these things start to manifest because we haven't kept them, or we haven't reminded them of why they're there. You know, we haven't walked, you know, week by week, month by month, you know, year by year with intent, and constantly reminded them, like, you know, are we happy with the results we're getting for this outcome? Are we close to this? Like, do you still want that? You know, this is all part of the process of keeping people reminded of why they're there, and keeping them committed to the goals that they've set, or keeping them committed to the plan that you've set. A lot of coaches get frustrated with why their clients don't follow the plan, but they don't really go any deeper than, you know, just follow the plan. It's like, if they're not following the plan, they either don't know why it's important, or they don't see any value in it. And, you know, it's just not important to them, and there's something else that's more important. Yeah. So good goal setting really starts to quash that.
Yeah. Yeah. So good goal setting, like you said, is pass, fail for one. And our method is it's attached to your values. So it's absent of motivation. So lose 5 kilos to look good in a dress, it's not it.
Yeah.
Like, we need to go beyond that.
Our dogs are singing today.
We're going to have a chat today too. So yeah, we need to go beyond that. And if your client's goal is to just lose 5 kilos and feel better, are they showing up when it's hard? Like, is that enough? And then people start to talk about, well, what's your deep why? We start peeling all these layers back, and the most effective and efficient way we've found to do that is values.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So once we've got our goals in place, that's worked primarily delivered from the client's end, because it's not up to you to, and this is a really important one. One of our coaches, Danica, actually posted about this morning. Those coaches that are like, oh, you're not going to compete, and then they just stop giving you any attention. It's like that's not fucking on. Like,
I've been the victim of that personally.
Yeah, it's like, your job is to service your clients' needs. If you don't want to work with what their needs are, give them to somebody who does.
Someone else.
Like, fuck.
Yeah,
we'll catch that before it goes into a rant. But once you've got that in place, the next step is like, that's decided upon by the client. They set their goals. You don't set them for them. The next step is on the coach. Your job, you're being paid to get that outcome. So with all the information that you've brought in, how many times a week can they train? How high a priority is training to them? Where are they in their training age? What's their current like performance, health, body composition, whatever status? What are they willing and able to commit to? You have all of that data. Now, what's the timeline and what's the plan? And that needs to be communicated to who you're working with as well.
Yep.
So do you want to maybe just give an idea of like how you go about that with like a gen pop and comparatively to an athlete?
The goal setting part?
Yeah, you setting the timeline and like laying out your plans. How do you communicate that effectively?
Yeah, so gen pop, it's a reflection on the timeline for the outcome. Like, if that person has, you know, something coming up, like, why did they hire you? You know, why are you hired in the first place? So some people, it's, I want to look the best I've ever looked for this holiday that's coming up, or, someone's like, I just want to get in the best shape of my life, and there's no end point for that. So then we need to start to look at, like you said, their current situation and where they're at and what they would need to be at, like what boxes need to be ticked to be the person that would have the outcomes that they want. So it's okay, this person's working out this many times a week, so that's a box ticked, but it's like they're not really following a plan. They're not really managing their nutrition. They kind of know a bit about nutrition, but they're not actually really implementing it, specific to the goals that they want. So if this person didn't have an endpoint, we would have to make an assessment of like just what improvements would need to be made, and then give them a realistic time frame. So if someone's like working out 5 days a week, but it's not really implementing any nutritional strategy, isn't following a structured program, really, they're just working out, doesn't really live the life outside of the gym that facilitates the goals that they want, that's not all going to happen overnight. So setting someone like a 10-week goal and saying, yeah, we can get you, this outcome in 10 weeks, like when you actually look at all the things that need to be lined up and all the boxes that need to be ticked, that's going to take a little bit longer. But once you get all of the boxes ticked, that's when the results really start to come quickly. So we would just set specific phases. So in maybe that 2-week period when you're first starting, it's like, cool, we're going to use this as like a baseline phase where we're trying to get maintenance. But what we're also trying to do is like habit formation. It's like, let's start living in alignment with the goals that we want. We've done the values thing, we've done the goal setting. So it's like, okay, well, let's do the be part and the do part so that we can have what we want. And then after that, it's like you're phasing the outcomes that you need, whether it's fat loss, whether it's strength, whether it's, whatever other outcome, hypertrophy, whatever. It's like, give someone a starting point and an end point and tell them, hey, for this period, we're going all in on this. So that's generally how I'll phase it for most of my clients. And then when you've got a competitor, they have an endpoint. So for the people that I work with, like they're doing bodybuilding shows. So we know the show and we want to have a week. We want to be ready a week earlier, probably even 2 weeks earlier, to be honest. So we set the prep, maybe depending on the person, I like 20 to 24 weeks in general. So 26 weeks out is when I would really make want to start prep, but I would be making an assessment the whole time. And it's like, how far away are we from this? And then you work your way back, which is going to be more time the better for somebody who's coaching a physique client. So hiring a coach 12 weeks out, most of the good ones are going to say no, unless you're doing a lot of the things unless you've ticked all of those boxes already. So you're just going to phase it and go, okay, well, we need to make improvements here. We need to do this. We need to, make sure that we're not putting on too much body fat. Probably have a little bit of time just to see how you respond to a deficit. So we're phasing those things, before this official, I guess, like pre-contest preparation period happens. And then after that, it's structuring in some deloads, structuring in some refeeds. And in between that, we're just working to aggressive fat loss protocols, really.
It's very similar for me as well. Like if you've got the Gen Pop, I like that habit formation phase. That's what I'll communicate to them as. And it's almost like most people come to me with the intent to lose body fat. So all of them want to be in a deficit. It's like, you need to earn your deficit through this habit formation phase.
Yeah.
Show me you can get your macros. Show me you can get your sleep. Show me you can get your steps. Show me you can do all your training. And then it's explaining like most of them aren't following a program to a level that they're really reaching their potential. So we get this lovely, nice little fucking recomp phase where measurements go down, performance goes up, body weight kind of stays similar, maybe trends down just a little bit. Usually that's what happens when people first start. So it's communicating that I need to see all these ducks in a row. And I'll say this could take 2 to 4 weeks. It could take 8 weeks. It's going to depend on how long it takes us to put all these things in place. Yeah. Once we do that, we'll go into, and it's like, sometimes it's really, we're doing this. And then usually depending on lifestyle, like if they have, so typically if they're career driven, it's like we'll play the next diet phase by ear, whether we go short and aggressive or longer and slower.
Yeah.
Based on what's going on in your life when we decide to do it.
Yeah.
So I've got one girl at the moment who's prepping for our photo shoot who I was like, are you happy to just fucking send this? She's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, I can feed you more on the back end if we need to. She's like, my life is sweet right now. Like, she's a nurse, everything's kind of set up, ready to go. Bang, let's do it. Other people, it's like work is like 60 hours a week. It's like out of the deficit now. Like, you're not sticking to it anyway. You're overstressed, out of that plan, reset a new one. So it's we talk about all the time, like being proactive with reactive built in.
Yeah.
So we are going to do a diet phase for a specific period of time. It could be this or this. Get there, make the decision, be willing to be reactive in the moment.
Yeah, there needs to be like rigid planning, but fluidity when you're assessing what's actually happening.
In application, yeah.
Yeah, so when we throw it out in application in real world, it's like there has to be fluid. We can't be rigid with the application too, because that's where bad coaching lies. It's like, that's the, follow your macros, make sure you get to the gym this week. And it's happened for the last 3 weeks. And it's like, clearly there's something going on here that needs investigation. Like, we have to be fluid now.
Yeah. And that's like, we're talking about how do you increase adherence and get results with your clients. If you're setting unrealistic expectations based on everything else that's going on in their life, you're setting them up to fail. Set some expectations that they can hit, and all of a sudden they'll hit expectations. Like, it's not rocket science when you look at it that way.
When adherence is the topic today. Like, we're trying to get you guys to maximize adherence with your clients. And when you think about goals and setting timelines and planning, the thing that you need to do after that is actually ask your clients, like, can you commit to this? Like, a lot of people, they want to work on growth, and from a values point, their goals line up with that, because they self-improve themselves, drop some body fat and all that. So you've set this timeline and you've got this plan for them. Now you need to ask them, like, are they prepared to do it? And it's like, what's involved here? What are the trade-offs? Are you actually happy with and willing to commit to this? Are you willing and able is probably the best things to ask.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people out there that like the idea of the outcome, and the outcome can still sit with the values. But actually, when you go to play it out, it's just like, they're like, I don't know if I thought that it was something else, like fat loss, right? People think it's magical.
Yeah.
Like they think it's easy. And then it's like, hey, am I supposed to be hungry? Am I supposed to feel a little bit like lackluster and have not as much energy? And are my workouts supposed to take so long to recover from and stuff? It's like, yeah.
It's one thing that the flexible dieting movement, one of the trade-offs from that, I think, has been that, isn't it? It's like when we first started out, was like, when you diet, like that eat clean mentality, it's like, that's hard. You eat boring food and you don't eat much of it, and you train your ass off and you get leaner. Now it's like, I don't know, you can eat chocolate and like diet on the maximum amount of calories and blah, blah, blah. It's like, the maximum amount of calories might still be 1,200 if you're a little person. Sorry. It's unfortunate for you, but it is. And even if it's not, if you've actually worked out what your maintenance is, it's probably still going to be 5, 6, 7, 800 calorie deficits for the levels of the output that you want, the outcomes that you want. So it's like, it's still going to be uncomfortable with just doing it more intelligently.
Yeah. And it's social media using the outliers to market their method too. Like, I fell victim to it at one point. I was like, oh, this person shredded 3,000 calorie average a day, 30 kilocalories a kilo, like, come at me, my method's the best. And then the longer I worked with people, I was like, and I hired a coach, like, trying to understand their method, because they got really good results with people. I'm like, just how does this work? But it's like, I saw maybe 6 people get results, and then it's like, hang on, how many other people does this person coach?
Yeah.
And the way that I've like, this has been set up for me is no different to how I would have set it up myself. And it's like, hang on a moment. It's like, it's all fucking individual. Like, it's, you eat at 30 kilocalories a kilo and you get shredded. It's like, they don't tell you about the 15,000 steps they walk a day. They do no cardio. It's
neat, bro.
the physical job
Yeah.
and, the 2 hours of training that they do. So then you get sold this like, well, I'm going to be able to eat this much and get this outcome. And it's like, well, no, it doesn't work that way. It's like, if you're a small person, if you're an inactive person, if you're not genetically blessed, it's going to be a little bit harder than someone else who's not, but it's still, no matter what, 100% necessary for you to be where you need to be right there and then to get the adaptations that you want. You want fat loss, you have to eat less, high protein diet, you have to move more than you're currently doing that. We have to manage the variables, and there's side effects to that. And it's like, good coaches explain the trade-offs.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, this situation you're in right now, like you're at uni, you got exams, you're working, can you commit to, a step count, eating a little bit less, feeling a little bit tired, all of these things that come with being leaner. You're going to get leaner too, but why do we only talk about the good shit? So good coaches talk about all of the stuff. And it's like, can you actually commit to this? Because we need 100%.
Also understand that if you give them an 8 to 10 week deficit, for example, in week 4, shit changes. It changes. Like when we're talking about getting adherence, like you need to sometimes be able to make the call of like, do they need a cuddle or a kick in the ass? Is like the question I sort of ask my clients sometimes. Like, which one of these do you actually need right now? Like, do you need a hug, or do you need to be told to pull your finger out? And the more experienced you become as a coach, the more intuitive you become with that. But at least thinking about it, like which one services the outcome here. And if you get to week 6 of a 10-week cut and adherence is all over the place, you need to start looking for other data and talking to them. What's going on? Why is your stress score so high? Why is your digestion so poor? Why aren't you hitting your workouts? Why weren't you able to hit your macros this week? It's like, I fucking worked 70 hours. My dog died, and like I'm stuck in lockdown, and I am moving half as much as what I normally do. Like, okay, is this still a good time for you to be able to pursue this outcome? Yes, I feel better this week and I'm ready to go. Cool. So we can set this as an expectation. Yes, let's fucking go. But open the door for them to say no.
Yeah.
That I think I actually, because we have 2 options. I can give you a 2-week diet break, let yourself get your shit together, and then we can jump back into this deficit again and finish it off. Or are you ready to go? Let them make that choice.
Yeah. And so this is why communication and forging good relationships, or always wanting and trying to forge good relationships and have good communication, is so important. Like, you see the posts on social media, the trainers shitting on their clients and prospects publicly because, their clients aren't following the plan and they're not asking their clients questions. And like, I couldn't help myself. Like, I commented on it, didn't get a reply back, of course.
Nah, I was upset we didn't.
And then just looking through the comments of just like, my clients asking other coaches about my plan and making decisions and changing things, and I laughed at it and all this stuff. It's like, these are coaches saying that. And it's like, have a good look at yourself if your clients are doing that. It's like, why are they not able to come to you? Why are they not able to talk to you, to ask you questions, talk about your plan and their goals of why they've actually hired you to do it? It's like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Not your client. Like, you haven't given them a comfortable environment to talk to you about their plan and stuff. And like, I always talk about, and we've done this in Standout PT. It's like, why do we stop asking questions as we get older? Like, when you're younger, ask all the questions. Doesn't matter if they're stupid or simple or whatever. You would just ask your mom and dad, like, why does this happen? Why does that happen? And then as we get older, the curiosity doesn't drop, but we stop asking questions, right? Most people do, unless you have a growth mindset. But we stop asking questions because we're fearful of looking stupid. We're fearful of the answer that we're going to hear back. We're not ready to hear that. Things like that. Like, we don't want people to think we don't know something, so we don't ask a question. It's like, okay, well, you know that. I know that. The coaches that do Standout PT know that. So what do? We don't assume, and we ask our clients questions. Do you understand what's going on? Are you happy with the results you're getting? Do you understand the plan for the coming week? Is there anything else that you need from me? All of these things break down those barriers of that client going, oh, this person's asking me this question. I'm going to give them a truthful answer. You sit down with someone at the start. It's like, I'm hired to get you an outcome. If you don't follow you don't follow your plan for the week, I don't care. I just want you to tell me. Because my job is to help you work over whatever it is that you need to work over to get the outcomes that we want. If you approach things with both of those strategies or both of those mindsets, there is no, oh, I'm going to bag my clients on social media because they don't follow the plan and laugh about it.
Fuck.
It's like you've done everything in your power to create the best environment for your client to communicate with you and forge a great relationship with them. Fuck, it pisses me off so bad when I see that shit, eh? Like,
yeah, it's definitely, I don't know why it's so common. I think because it's shareable and other PTs get on board and share it more, and it just becomes this fucking snowball effect.
There's so many bad coaches.
Bad communicators.
So many bad trainers out there pretending to be coaches.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like, you're not a coach.
Yeah.
None of those people that commented on that are coaches.
Agreed.
They're trainers.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So I think like that ability to open communication, it's the next thing we have in there. So you setting the goals, putting a timeline and plan together, communicating the expectations of what the client can expect, what we expect. And then, like Jay said, I just need to know. I had one of my girls in the Be Bulletproof course last night. She was like, one of her triggers was like letting her coach down. She doesn't want to admit we were doing growth and ownership mindset, and she didn't want to take ownership because, like, if I take ownership, then I have to tell my coach I fucked up, and I don't want to tell my coach I fucked up. Yeah. And I was like, you've been working with me for 10 weeks. When was the last time I told you off for anything?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, never. I'm like, so just fucking tell me. I don't care. I think one of the biggest reasons, and I would be curious to talk to my clients and ask them these questions. I think one of the biggest strengths I have that allows me to get results with my clients is an ability to take what they perceive to be really large problems and make them this much smaller.
Yeah.
Just be like, yeah, so you went out on the weekend, got fucked up. Okay. Is that going to bother you in 4 weeks' time? Yes. Don't do it again. Pick up from today. Let's go. It's done. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's go. Okay. If it happens again, why do we keep falling in this behavior? What's triggering us? What's happening? Let's deal with that issue. Not telling you off. Like, why the fuck did you go out? You're not going to, like, who cares? It's done. It's nothing that I can do about it now. I'm more interested in what you do tomorrow.
Yeah. Looking to the week ahead is the best.
And then if your answer is like, no, it was my birthday and I don't care that I got fucked up on the weekend in 4 weeks. Like, this check-in was shit and I'll be good tomorrow. It's like, okay, I'm all right. Are you all right? Everyone's happy. Cool. Let's move on with life. Like, the menstrual cycle thing's one that's really popular at the moment too. Like, to a point, starting to the pendulum's gone too far. It's like we're extrapolating too much information from it. It's like, oh, I missed a workout last week because it's like my period pain was really bad and I just didn't want to train. Like, okay, cool. Pick up from that session this week. Keep working your way through. Do you think you do an extra session this week? Yeah, probably. Sweet. Make sure you actually relax on Sunday if you do that extra session. Okay, cool. Sweet. Move on. Like, these big issues that our clients have that they come in half the time, it's like, think about going to someone who you deem an authority, who has, I don't want to say has power over you, but a little bit. So like, Jay said, like, asking your mom and dad questions. Like, imagine walking into your boss or whatever and having to say you fucked something up.
Yeah.
And how terrifying that is. Like, hey, boss, like, I was supposed to do this and I didn't, or I was supposed to do it this way and I did it this way and now it's fucked. It's like, you're walking into that fucking not in a confident position.
Yeah.
Have a think about what your client thinks when they check in with you, if they haven't had a good week, and create an environment where within 2 seconds of the reply, that goes away. Because over time, it's like, I can trust Ben. I can trust Jason. I can trust my coach with whatever I need to talk about. I can go to them and I can trust them.
Yeah. Yeah. Breaking down those barriers is so important. It's like, oh, I feel like I'm wasting your time. I feel like I'm not meeting your standard. It's like, just quash that shit at the start. That understand that they think you're larger than life. You're a personal trainer. You probably have a really great skill of lifting or doing something, or you're in shape, or you operate in a manner that they admire you for. So they're going to, at the start, be very reluctant to tell you the things that they think you're going to look down on them on. So if you break that down and you're like, I'm not here to tell you off. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to do any of that shit. I'm here to get you a result.
I think the problem that you highlighted before with like the social media posts and stuff is like, there are coaches that do.
Yeah.
And if you do that, that's self-serving, and you need to flip to client serving real fucking quick.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hate your job, because no one's going to do what you want them to ever. So you'll be frustrated, like all these shit clients don't do what they're supposed to, blah, blah, blah. You'll be frustrated with, I just don't get the right clients. Newsflash, when you get a full book of competitors, they're just as fucking neurotic. They ask just as many questions and they fuck up just as much. I'm just as bad. Like my check-ins to Will and to whoever, like they're the same. If I check in with nutrition with Aaron, I'm like, yeah, I didn't track this week, just dates. I was like, I'm the same. I'm that client sometimes. We all are. So don't think that just because like training's in top 2 or 3 priorities of my life. If you're working with people that are top 5, top 10, and it's a good thing that I like to point out to people is like, because personal trainers tend to be very good at executing their training, they think everyone else should be. Are you adherent to your training nutrition? What is your percentage of adherence per week? And it's like, oh, it's 95%. So that's what they speak. That's what they expect from their clients. So what I've started asking instead for clients is, what was your adherence to your business KPIs last week? Did you do all the calls you were supposed to? Did you budget the way you're supposed to? Did you do your review? Did you? And they're like, nah. I'm like, cool. So all the shit that you were supposed to do, you didn't do. And you're going to drill your client for not doing the stuff they were supposed to, rather than help them.
It's a bit rich in it.
It's like, oh, okay. So you don't like budgeting. Okay, cool. Do your clients like tracking macros? No. Oh, well, maybe then fucking work with them the same way that you need to be patient with yourself about putting together a budget. Like if you came to me and was like, Ben, I didn't do my budget last week. And I was like, well, that's a fucking waste of time then, isn't it? Like, do you want to be broke in 5 years? If that was my response, you'd be like, fuck, I'm never telling Ben that again. So I think people just need to step into like, what's the relatability here? What's the level? Because we all have shit that we're supposed to do that we don't.
Yeah. And I think a really humbling way to do that is to get coached yourself by a good coach though. But it's like, just understand the experience. Like, set goals, have a program, be accountable to someone, check in regularly. It's like all the little fucking sneaky shit you're going to do. Guess what your clients are doing? It's the same shit. Yeah. It's like, if you feel comfortable with the other person and you don't do that, and you have great conversations and they're open and everything's on the table and you feel comfortable, guess what happens with your clients? The same thing. Yeah. So again, there's a tremendous amount of power with experience. So definitely encourage you guys to be in that situation yourselves.
I think it's more and more
heaps being coached.
It's more and more popular now for coaches to have coaches, which is a great thing. Like, Adam posted about it recently. Like, how do you? Because I know he used to push back on it. Like, oh, I don't want to have a coach because I want people to know that I have a coach, because that means I don't need help. Coach. It's like
that you need help. It's not always about that.
Yeah, no, you're seeking the same thing that they're seeking.
Yeah, and sometimes you're outsourcing decision making. Like, it's not just about your inability to do shit.
Yeah, so like I've been working with Will now for 3 years. It's like I'm super comfortable in that relationship now. So that's not a great reference point for me anymore in terms of like what makes me scared. But it was a while ago now, but he came down and did some one-on-one sessions. I had to meet him at a gym that I didn't know. There was heaps of people in there that I didn't know. And I was like I'm fucking, Will's my friend. He stayed at my house. And I was like, I'm nervous for this PT session. This is fucking weird. Why am I nervous? So imagine being a client who's new and doesn't have a relationship with you, has to walk into that fucking gym and do a PT session. Like, just put yourself, whether it's in training related or other areas, put yourself in uncomfortable positions and just take a moment and think, I wonder if this is what my clients feel like when they have to talk to me.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. I'm like, this is a very humbling experience. I can learn a lot from this if I sit back and actually like ask myself those questions, which good coaches do, man, because like it's the client-centric model, right? It's like you do stuff that your clients do and you sit back and reflect and understand how they feel so that you can make sure that you're doing the best for them in that situation when they're there.
Yeah. All right, so I feel like we've covered communication.
Can you see that's a really important part, guys?
And it's fucking touchy for us right now. It's a trend in the industry we've had enough of. They come up every now and then. So check-ins is obviously the next point. Like, having a good check-in process is going to make.
How do we reinforce adherence? I think is probably the better way to coin it. And a check-in is one of those.
Yeah. So take us through the check-in process, bro, and how, like you said, you're reinforcing that communication.
Yeah. So we believe that a check-in should encompass 4 key areas, really. There should be data about the goal that they want to, that we're working towards. So objective data. So it's like, this is what's happened over the period that you're assessing that check-in for. There needs to be some, subjective markers as well, and subjective feedback. So it's like, what is this client doing in terms of, or how is this client ranking their performance in terms of markers and feedback? Like, there's dialogue there too. Then we need something that's going to give them a focus for the week. So it's like, what is we call it the action point for the week. So it's like one thing. Don't need you doing 400 things, because if you pick more than one thing, you're going to do 2 things shit. So just pick one. Right. And it's like, fucking own it. We don't say it like that, but it's just pick one thing to own. Right. And then it's like, we're positively reinforce either last week's action point or something that's happened that week. Like, your goal is to create victories. We want to positively reinforce what they're doing. We do that in the check-in sheet with conditional formatting. We give them, the positive sandwich. It's like, this is what you did great. This looks like it needs a little work, but I'm really happy that I've seen this, this, and this. And I'm very confident with your action point this week and how you've described it, that you're going to achieve X, Y, and Z. And I look forward to seeing it next week, as an example. So our check-ins are very comprehensive. Like, we've looked at these 4 key areas and gone, all right, I can assess if the plan's going to, or I can assess if the plan's going to how we've prescribed it, or, just like on course. I now have a look at like how that person's ranked their own performance for that week, just in terms of like their training, their nutrition, their compliance, those kind of things, and how they feel, about their own performance in those areas. We've now got one key area that they have identified as something that needs improvement for the week, which is super powerful, because that's probably really accurate if they've identified it. And what I'm going to do is just make sure that we go into the weeds on that a tiny bit, so we can kind of go, okay, so why do you think so? What are you going to do about it? I'm really confident with this. Hey, you said you were going to do it, take a 3-liter bottle of water to work. Why don't you try this as well? Because we found this to be a little bit pretty successful as well. So maybe like do both of those, or, you can pick one and see how it feels. And then at the end of it, just be like, really happy with this. I'm confident that this action point is going to be here, and I look forward to hearing it next time. So it's like, once you have that process down pat, it's almost, and you've got a good relationship and you have good communication, it's faultless. Like, is everything going to be sunshine and rainbows and, continuously working towards this, gaining this linear progression? Definitely not. are you going to be in the best position to put out the spot fires as fast as possible with this method? 100%.
That's almost a trap that we fall into as well. Is like people are looking for the most highly optimized plan rather than what is the best plan over time.
Yeah.
So like our message with the Be Bulletproof program is like, the reason you're bulletproof is not because you know exactly what to do and it will work perfectly every single time. You're bulletproof because you know where to start and how to adjust.
Yeah.
And that's the same with our approach to coaching. It's not, your method isn't bulletproof because it works 100% of the time, because it fucking worked. It never will.
No.
I don't care how good your programming nutrition plans are. It's not going to work 100% of the time with every single client because not everyone will follow it.
Yeah.
And you can dismiss that and say, oh, it's because no one follows it. Or you can actually build a service that gets results for everybody.
Yeah.
The way to do that is everything that Jace just said. Create an environment that facilitates progress on a weekly basis.
Mm.
And if something doesn't work, you have the ability to identify and implement a change.
Yeah, like remember that adherence comes from like momentum as well. Like if someone's done something well, like tell them, you know, and get them to like tell themselves like, well done. Like one thing that I really do rather than like especially lately is instead of saying like, I'm happy with the check-in this week, or this was a great check-in and I want to see more of this in the future, or something along those lines, where it's like, you know, the whole, like, I'm proud of you kind of thing that we spoke about, like when we went into the weeds one night drinking too much wine. I was like, instead, now I'm saying you should pat yourself on the back for the week that you just had. So it's like, you did this for you. Like you didn't do it for me. Like you did this for yourself, and you should be very proud of yourself for doing it. And so when we start to reinforce those things in the right way, it's like, think about how much momentum that creates for that person.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, so I just have to do what I did last week. And then all I've got to do is work on this little thing this week. And I'm moving even closer to the outcomes. I'm moving even closer to the prize.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's where coaches fuck up. It's like, it's this top-down relationship. It's this, I'm telling you what to do. It's like, you're missing the point where it's like, just because you guys think following your nutrition isn't a big deal and your clients did it and you don't commend it because you don't find it important, it's like, it's a fucking big deal for that person. So commend them, or tell them that they should be proud of themselves for doing it. Put them in the best position to do it again. Like everybody likes a pat in the back, man. Everyone likes the sticker when they were in high school or primary school, or whatever. It's like, you do this, you get a gold sticker. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm doing this. I want to get as many as possible, you know? So it's like, we still like that stuff. It still frames our decision-making, you know, in like moving forward. So we just got to find adult coaching, personal training variations of that. Yeah. And it's little things, you know, it's like our KPIs are really kind of colored from red to green. And it's not red, we're coming in, you know, with steam out of our ears going, oh, you fucked up this week. It's like, hey, is everything okay? Right? From our perspective. But then think about your client. It's like, I got orange this week. It's like, next week I'm getting green. Because green is good. Yeah. Right? So you've got these colors that are reinforcing it from their perspective, and it shows us how to approach that person. And then we have the coaching skills to be like, hey, I'm really proud of, you should be very proud of the fact that you said you were going to, you know, hit your protein targets for last week and you did it. So pat yourself on the back. And I'm really excited to see this action point get played out this week.
Yep.
Let me know if there's anything else you need from me.
Yeah, so valuable. I put up a post this week around like, the biggest thing at the moment is everyone wants to be more confident. The best way to build confidence is to win more.
Yeah.
The more you victories, win, the more you feel confident. The more you win, the more you win. Winning is a habit.
Yep.
So create an environment where your clients can win.
Yep.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah. Like coming into lockdown, you know, for us, like it was unexpected. Like it's like, hey, there was 5 cases, boom, you're in lockdown. And then like now it's like, oh, it was a 5-day weekend and now it's going to be longer. And so the approach in the check-ins was like, what are we doing to create victories this week?
Yeah.
That was it. That was the line that I said to the people that are in lockdown. It's like, what are you going to do this week for the things that you have control of to go, I crushed it this week. I created that win. Because it's like, think of the momentum that carries over to the next week.
Yeah.
You know, there's no better way. There's no better way.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Super, super valuable. So I think what you kind of explained there is like an online version of our R.E.A.C.H model. So it's the R.E.A.C.H model is designed. We've talked about it in past episodes, but if you guys haven't heard it, R.E.A.C.H is a communication style that you can employ with clients to allow them to essentially set their own goals with guidance from you, which when a client sets their own tasks, they will be more adherent because they've set the target. It's not something that you've told them to do. Something you've both agreed upon is going to deliver, get them closer to the outcome. So it's an acronym. So R is for rapport. So start of a session, you don't walk in and be like, hey, did you get your protein last week? Like, how was your week, bro? Like, how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
So building some rapport before you dive in there. What's E?
Explore.
Yeah. So typically you'll have one that was already set previously, and that's what you're exploring. It's like last week we were focusing on your protein. You mentioned you were going to add protein to your oats in the morning. How did you go with that? It was good. It was shit. Sometimes maybe good. Sometimes maybe shit. Who knows? So we go through that and unpack. If that was super successful, then we don't really need to go any further than that. Or we want to then build another layer. So we explore, okay, so what else could we now do this week now that we've been successful with that? Then we go into A. I'm going to call on you.
Action.
Yeah. So we have looked at it. This person, for example, has successfully added protein to their oats every morning. So great. We're also probably struggling with a protein snack throughout the day. What high protein snacks would you be willing to eat? I probably would prefer you to eat some food rather than use a protein shake again. Is there anything you think you could fit in? Maybe they don't know. Maybe they say Nutri-Grain. It's like, it's not quite it. And then you might make some suggestions. What about like a high protein yogurt or some beef jerky or something? And they're like, I fucking love like YoPro. Cool. Do you think you could add one of them a day to your diet? Yeah, definitely. Awesome. C, Jason.
Clarify.
Cool. So you're confident you can go and you're going to have 7 of those YoPros in your fridge. You can add one of those per day to your afternoon snack. And that's what you're going to do next week. Yes, Jason. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Sweet. And then the big one that Jason made a really big deal of with the check-ins was honor.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that you'll be able to do that. And I'm looking forward to the rewards that you get from actually applying that as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week and seeing how you went. Done. Such a simple communication style set up in a framework that doesn't feel clunky, doesn't feel awkward. It's not woo-wooey like stuff. It's just something that's going to happen. You did good. You didn't do good. Let's make an action point. Just a reminder that I actually think you're a good person, that you can do this. Go and have a fucking great week.
Yeah, it's a natural conversation. Like I've had people who go off and do some coaching, weekend course and stuff. And then, when they're talking to you and shit, they're asking you these fucking weird questions and they're like staring at you in your eyes and they're about, fucking 3 inches from your face and shit. And I'm like, whoa, get the fuck off me, man. Like you're actually making me feel weird. You don't really talk like this normally. So what have you changed? I'm getting real bad energy.
Yeah.
This is like, hey, how's your week? What went well? What do you think needs improving? Cool. What are we going to do about that? Sweet. Have you tried this? Just making sure that you're talking about this. I'm really confident that you're going to get this done, man. And I can't wait to hear about it next time. Like, that's it. That could happen in a 2-minute period. It could happen over a 30-minute session.
Yeah. Like
just honor them at the end of the session. Don't do it at the start. It's just like, hey, can't wait to hear from you next week. Now let's go and do this next step. But yeah, it's like, just make the conversation organic.
Yeah. And your online check-ins can follow that exact same flow.
Yeah. It's just like, ask the questions. They're prompt. the answer.
They've set up their action point. You just have to honor it.
And you just, that's it. Honor it and explore and clarify. Like you just got to probably go on the clarify part, just because language is, remember, like just because someone says something doesn't mean it means the same thing that you think. So you're like, hey, I'm just making sure when you say this, you mean this. And then it's like, yep, 100% confident you're going to get that done. Can't wait to hear about it. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Yeah. And that's really, the clarify element's really important, because coaches and clients have different interpretations of what things mean. So we need to make sure that we know. It's like, I'm going to do cardio every day. And I'm like, I think that is going to be 30 minutes on the bike. You think that's going to be 90 minutes on the bike. And I'm like, get to the end of the week. They're like, yeah, I did 90 minutes on the bike every day. You're like, you fucking what? Like, how bruised is your butt right now?
Yeah.
Like that's, you need to make sure that those two things actually work out together. So the R.E.A.C.H model is fucking amazing and it's a really great tool, but there are times where 2, 3, 4 weeks go by that it's the same explore.
Yeah.
The protein isn't going in the oats. The thing that's supposed to be there, all the workouts aren't being hit. All the nutrition parameters aren't being hit. There's something going on that's just not, particularly if you know, there's two main reasons that I go to the next step, which we call, motivational interviewing.
Yeah.
One is it's out of character. The behavior that we're presenting over a 2 to 4 week period is out of character for this person. It's time to intervene real quick.
Yeah.
Alternatively, the person is starting to get antsy about their outcomes and the behavior doesn't align with them. I'm taking that off my shoulders and putting it back on to them to figure out what the fuck's going on. So motivational interview, I'm not going to go through the ins and outs of how to do it because it's a podcast in itself. What we're trying to achieve with the motivational interview, you guys can Google this. There's heaps of different variations.
Yeah, it's heaps.
Essentially, you're weighing up what the rewards are and what the opposite of rewards are for changing and staying the same.
Yeah, well, the pros and cons.
Yeah, on both ends of the spectrum. If you stay like, why are you staying like this? I'd rather sit on the couch and watch Netflix than do my steps when it's cold and raining. It's a valid fucking answer. How important is that answer versus if I do my steps, my hip doesn't hurt and I lose weight? Well, the couch is only a 3 out of 10, and going for not having a sore hip and being able to lose body fat is like a 7. It's like, cool. So that's a no-brainer discussion now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. That's the outcomes that we're trying to create with that. Sometimes they go super fucking deep and that you can unpack some shit that you'll be like, whoa, that's makes a lot of sense. Why we're not doing that anymore. Mental barriers that people have put in place, certain meanings that people have put around certain scale weights and all that sort of shit. Like it all can come out in this, and you're creating an environment for it to come up and then be dealt with. If you don't want to deal with it yourself, we talked about at the start, have a network of people that you're just like, yeah, I think that would be an awesome idea to go talk to someone about that, because that's continuously holding back your progress here right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you have both those tools under your belt as a coach, like you've done everything you can to get that person, just realigned with the program or the process, really.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And then it gives you, it just allows you to kind of, not take on that burden of like why that person's not getting results. You don't have to get frustrated and pissed off at that person because they're not getting the outcomes, and you feel like, it's looking bad at, on your reputation and stuff as a coach. It's like, I literally have done everything I can for this person, to facilitate the outcomes that they want. So you can just know that you've done everything with those, there's the rules and responsibilities of both parties.
Yeah.
It's like you're ticking all of them. So you're fine. Done your job. Yeah.
So packaging this all up in a nice little bow for you guys. How do you increase adherence and get results with your clients? Firstly, go read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and have the ability to actually fucking take ownership for the fact that your client's not getting a result because of the system that you've set up for them. You're not facilitating an outcome, they're not adherent. Swap those two things around to start with. Yep. I know it hurts your ego, but it gives you your power back. It allows you to actually make progress. Set better goals. Pass, fail. We use value aligned, a method that actually creates real fucking goals that have a why, that work in the absence of motivation. Put together a clear timeline and a plan for your clients. They actually know what the fuck's going on. They're not sitting there wondering like, I don't know what's next. Communicate what the expectations and what the client can expect at the start, pros and cons. What are the trade-offs going to be? What's our plan if something fucks up? How are we approaching this? Over what time frame? Have really good check-ins where you're creating an environment that you've got action points, you're encouraging habit formation, and you've got that positive reinforcement in there. Create wins for your clients. Reach model conversations, particularly if you're face-to-face, absolute game changer.
Yep.
Allow you to be less stressed, allow the clients to make the call on what they're aiming for each week. Like Jay said, ticking the box that I've done my due diligence with this client now. Reach models still not working. Suss out what the motivational interview is. Practice it 3 or 4 times with someone who's not your client, and then deliver it to your client. If you need to refer out after that, you need to refer out after that. I'm really, really confident if you can put those 6 things together, not only your adherence, but your client outcomes, your client satisfaction, your retention, the value of your service, your referrals, all of those metrics will go up. Will make a huge positive impact on your business and your outcomes.
Yep, agreed.
Cool. So Standout PT is obviously closed right now. Our next intake for that is going to be, I should have opened that before I started talking about it. Let me bring that up for you guys. We also have, sorry, one sec. So yeah, Standout PT, we've just launched our 3rd round, which is really cool. We met all the guys yesterday, which is really, really exciting. We had a really good time with those. So the next intake for that, so Standout PT number 4, will be will be starting on October 11th. So currently what we have available is your first 1K week. So if you're in a position right now that you're not generating consistently over $1,000 and you're not really sure what to do, you don't have a secure income, you're worried about business structure, sales, coaching, communication, and language, like this stuff today resonated with you, and you're like, I don't have any of this shit. The 1K week is for you. So jump on STCfit Learning's website, check out 1K PT. It's super cheap. We really need to put the price up on it, but take advantage of it while it's at that price. And then also coming up on Thursday, the 5th of August, which we might have 1 episode, I think, between then and now, we'll be having a programming for body compositional change workshop. So it'll be PT friendly, 12:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday, online, obviously, because Jason and I aren't allowed out of the house right now.
Yep.
So keep an eye on at STCfit Learning on Instagram for that one. Tickets will be up probably by the end of this week. You'll be able to purchase them, and make sure you secure your spot for that one. If you're a client listening, don't forget about the STC Fit. We have the next Be Bulletproof program will be launched on the 7th of November. We've just launched that as well. And we'll be running How to Get Lean and Strong, which Jace will be featured in that one as well on Wednesday, the 11th of August. So the following week at 7 p.m. So after hours for that one. So it's fucking heaps coming.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to at STCfit Learning and at STCfit for all of those updates, so you're not missing out on anything there. The seminars, again, will be too cheap. So yeah, be ready to jump on those tickets as soon as they come out. Take a screenshot of this episode for us. If you could, put it up on your socials, tag at STCfit Learning, at Ben Scott STC, at Jason Galea STC. We'd really, really appreciate that to push the episodes out a little bit further. I think I've got everything.
That's it. We're done.
Sweet. There's no clothing out or anything for a little bit.
No,
so.
yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks you so
guys.
much.
See you next time.
In a fortnight.